Hi, this is Adam Bolshaw with The Real Property Guy, and you are watching my podcast. Today I have with me Todd Asplin with Geneva Financial.
Thanks for the invite, Adam.
Todd.
How are
Got
you?
it? Good.
Good.
Let's dive into some buyer misconceptions today.
Yeah, that's exciting. Always exciting
I shouldn't say
information to give.
misconceptions. I think just apprehensions when it comes to purchasing real estate. And, well, even on the seller side, some of these apprehensions convey to them, too. From your side of the equation, though, with the financial side, what do you see is some of the holdbacks as far as, like, you know, they don't want to engage with you. It's almost like, I don't know. I don't want to say they're afraid to engage with you, but I think they just don't know what to expect. I think they think they're going to have something shoved down their throat.
Yeah, it's between. It's intimidating to buy a house, right? So they get a little nervous, or they're people don't like to be told no, right? Which I don't like to tell people no either.
So there might be some fear factor there.
Yeah, some fear factor in there of, well, I'm not going to qualify, and then they're not going to talk to me anymore. Whereas, 20 years into the business, one of the only ways I've been able to stay here is to be able to help people migrate through the whole process, right? And not everybody's a slam dunk, easy loan to get through. So one of the biggest misconceptions is, one, when you pull my credit's going to drop significantly, which is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I get that a lot.
And two, once I pull their credit, I'm going to be calling them constantly, right? Pushing them, when that's not the case whatsoever. And just like with credit, we've talked in the past, they want you to get your credit pulled by 2 or 3 different lenders because they want you to be able to have options and not all of a sudden your credit's dropped significantly because you've done nothing wrong. Right? Every time your credit is pulled, what people don't realize is we can the credit bureaus label that credit pull. So if you're getting it for a credit card, it says credit card. If you're getting it for a car, it says automobile. For a mortgage, it says mortgage. I tell people, typically you can get your credit pulled 2 or 3 times within a 30-day time period. In my world, in mortgage world, nothing's going to happen to your credit. More than likely, it's going to be the same each time it's pulled. The only reason it would be different is if you did something wrong, or you put more debt on your credit, or you went late on a card or something like that. But just getting it pulled in my world isn't going to hurt at all. And then at that point, obviously, I can help them get their credit up if they need it to get up, or come up with suggestions to get to that next level if need be. Right,
and then to that point there, it's one of the things where, because obviously when I'm engaging with them, one of my questions is like, have you talked to a lender? Do you know what you qualify for? I mean, obviously this is on the side of non-cash purchases, but they're not ready to. They don't need to. Well, we're not going to buy for 6 months. We're not going to buy for a year. Why don't you help us understand why it's actually probably beneficial that if you're planning that far ahead, more power to you. Amen to that. That's fantastic. However, I think from the lending side of things, there's still some advantages, some strong advantages to engaging with, well, Todd Asplin with Geneva Financial, shameless plug. With you or a lender to start to kind of lay the groundwork for that 6-month term or for that 1 year.
Yeah, you want to be prepared because you never know when it's going to happen, right? You say 6 months. We've had it in the past. Buyer says 6 months.
Murphy's Law.
2 weeks later, Todd, I got, you got to get them pre-approved. I know they didn't want to run anything now, but all of a sudden they found the one, right? And it's a Saturday night or a Friday night, whatever it is. And because that's when people are looking, happy Friday. Now our work week starts.
Yeah, exactly.
But the biggest thing is you got to be prepared. Who knows? Your Credit Karma score isn't your credit score. What you see on TransUnion, Equifax, that's not your credit score. Maybe your ratios need to be tweaked a bit. We need to figure out the income. All income isn't the same. W-2, salary.
So you're telling me that you're not just going to go and jam a loan down someone's throat. You might actually help them. like even if, and seriously, all joking aside, seriously, even if they come in with a strong credit score, for the most part, unless you're dealing with 800 plus in credit, there's a lot of things that could potentially be done. And if you look at it, like they have 6 months to a year, forecasted before they're going to buy. and they're chatting with you. I know you've helped a lot of my clients. I think, yeah, you've helped a ton of my clients with just tweaking a couple little things, saying, hey, your credit's fine. You can buy right now, but you're not worried about buying for 6 months or whatnot. Why don't you do X, Y, and Z, and next month we'll do another refresh on your score. I'm pretty sure I can get you another 50 points on your score.
Yeah.
And I mean, that means a world of difference if you're taking a 680, which is not a bad score at all, and now you're a 727.30. That, I mean, well, I'll ask you. You're the pro. Does that put them in a better light when it comes into the programs that they qualify for, the interest rates?
Yeah, puts you in a different bucket that gives you more ability to either get a better rate, different products. 730. Sometimes for the most part, you want to go conventional with a 730 score because they qualify, and a lot of times that's the way you want to go. But maybe with an FHA loan, you're able to get an interest rate with that credit score that covers some of your closing costs. So sometimes it's not just a cookie cutter. This is the way it's all going to go. And the sooner you have that all figured out, the better off you're going to be for the long haul. And again, just being prepared, because you never know, right? It goes along with income too. People may think they make tons and tons of money and they're self-employed. And then when you get the tax returns, they write off a lot of that, right? And maybe they don't qualify for as much as they thought based off of what that tax return says at that time, right? So you kind of have to maybe add someone else to the loan or finagle things a bit. So the more prepared you are and the more you allow me to help you get your credit up and figure out your income and assets and everything else, just the better off you'll be when it comes, especially in this market where if you like the house, more than likely someone else likes the house, and the supply is still on the lower side of things.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to miss out on that one opportunity. You may only have 1-2 opportunities for the house that you just absolutely love, right? And to miss out on that just because you didn't talk to a lender to get prepared would be terrible. It'd be terrible to think. So,
and that's kind of a good point too to maybe bring up too. Once someone engages with you, it usually takes at least a good, what'd you say, 24, 48 hours to get everything together, get them the pre-approval so that we could potentially write a contract. Whereas if they're coming in and they say, I love this house, but they're calling for highest and best tonight at 5, we're so far behind the ball on that one.
yeah.
And that's another.
And that's where mistakes happen, right? Because you're in such a rush and you don't want to disappoint. And that's where, unfortunately, something may get missed or whatever it may be that makes it a little bit clunky. You still get to the table, but the more prepared you are, the smoother it gets. And just like with you, right? You have somebody that needs to sell and buy a house, and you say, hey, I need to come over and check your house out. And they say, oh, we're not ready for that. Then they find the one, and you're trying to put in a contingent offer. What's that listing agent going to ask you? The first question they're going to ask you if it's contingent.
Do they have to sell before they buy?
And when you say yes, because we're contingent, and then they say, is the house on the market yet? And you have to say no.
No, but it will be ready soon.
Right. Well, when soon,
yeah,
right? We don't know when
exactly.
soon is.
Exactly.
Soon isn't like a time frame. That's just a generic word. So.
Right. So the name of the game here is it's not a matter of you trying to jam a loan down someone's throat, me trying to jam a property down someone's throat. It's more about the preparedness and the ability to help educate these buyers so that they're prepared. It's like, I don't know, it's like trying to take a test and not studying.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're going to bomb the test unless you're some kind of savant and you can literally sleep on a book and absorb everything.
Tried that before a couple times in high school and college.
Yeah, that
didn't work
didn't
well.
work.
Didn't work well at all. No, not at all.
But no, it's one of those things where I think we're not that door-to-door salesman or that used car salesman. You don't have anything to fear with us. We're here to partner with folks. And again, it's just that, again, big portion of why I want to do this podcast is to kind of help dismantle some of those misconceptions, and also hopefully give out there some educational and information that would otherwise be left to guessing.
Yeah. And we want to show people there are real estate agents and mortgage professionals that aren't from a call center trying to push you into the next deal, right?
Right.
Like, again, we're in it for the long haul. I have my teaching degree. So what I say a lot of times is like, never became a teacher, but I'm teaching people how to buy a house.
Right.
Right. And it's, and sometimes it can be a long process and sometimes it can happen like that. But unless you're prepared, unless you have the right team behind you, you're always going to struggle to get into that house. Right. And you're going to be a little frustrated simply because, again, we're not pushy. I'm not going to call you every 5 minutes. You're not going to call them, hey, when are you going to put the house on the market? We're going to give you market updates every couple weeks. Send you a video here and there. Hey, how you doing? This is Adam. Wanted to let you know Baltimore County, values went up another 3% this month. So you should put think about put the house on the market sooner than later. Stuff like that. But
and also on the side of on the realtor side of the fence too, we have a lot of resources and contractors, and maybe we're kind of diving into the sale now, but we have resources that we can put you in front of to help you. The buyer, the biggest resource that I think I have that I can put a buyer in front of is you, to help them prepare, help them understand what their credit is. We were just talking about the folks we were chatting with on Tuesday night. They thought their score was like in the low 600s, and it ended up being
well above. They're 660, so, and they thought they were on the lower end of the sixes. That was one of the main reasons they wanted to hold off, and wait. So when I give them a call this afternoon to let them know, hey, this is what your credit is based off your income and everything I see, they're qualified to buy now.
And those individuals did come in with the notion that they felt they needed to do the prep work, which there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And they're like, we're giving ourselves 6 month to a year time frame before we're ready to buy. But again, through the conversation, there's a lot of misunderstandings or misconceptions as far as what it was. I think her father had said she needed like
20% down.
Right.
Another one of those 20%.
So, and that's a good question to
old myths
to let everybody know. And again, if you know this, great, fantastic. But for those that don't, FHA, what's the minimum down?
FHA is 3.5%. Conventional's even less. You're a first-time buyer. You fit in certain buckets. You could get in for 3%.
Right.
So 3%, just to give you an idea, 3%, $250,000 house, $7,500.
What about the person? Hey, I'm a little short. I don't have quite enough to cover closing costs. I know that there's some programs, and again, that's the other thing too. Is we'll get back to that question, but I just want to put out there that there's the one thing I think I pride you and I on is we're options kind of guys. Mm-hmm. We like to give as many options as possible. So that, because one option doesn't fit all, and if you give folks as many options as possible, then you give them the opportunity to say, this option, I think, is the best fit for me. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to tell them what the best fit is for them. I know you're not there to tell them what the best fit is for them. But if we give them all the options, the pros, the cons, this, that, and the other thing, then they, as a well-informed consumer, can now make that decision well for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And when you have a big purchase you want to do, you want to be the one making the decision, right?
Absolutely.
Not someone else making the decision. And to have the options and go over those and make sure, all right, these are hitting your buckets, right? Just like when a buyer comes to you and says, you ask them right away, what are your main items you want in the house, right? And you're trying to check off all of those boxes. It's the same type of deal on the lending side, right?
Right.
I'm trying to check off all the boxes. The three main things that I'm looking for, a misconception is people still think they give me a call, we talk it over, and I say, yes, shake hands, and you have your loan for $400,000. But it's all through an automated system. I need that information to put in that automated system to run the credit, put it all through. Then when we have that approval, we're one step closer, you know what I mean? We're one step closer to being more prepared so that when that day comes that you find the one, we're not scrambling around trying to figure it all out.
Right.
We've already got it figured out.
and that plays into the home search as well, because now we're saying, again, just hypothetical numbers here, but if this person is approved for $400,000, we're not shopping for a $600,000 home, or we're not waving and dangling that carrot in front of a buyer saying, "Oh, look at this nice home for 600," but I know we got to go look it up. We just don't mind this one. We got to go look at $400,000.
Right.
So it positions them so much better. They have a much better concept of what's going to happen, how things are going to move forward, and at the end of the day, it's about the relationship that they've built and the trust that they're building. And I know that's as paramount for you as it is for me. That they're comfortable calling you and saying, "Well, what about?" And we get those clients that do get really comfortable with us, which is fantastic, because they're not afraid to pick up the phone and call us. Hey, you know what? I was just thinking about this. What if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if I do this? What can well, this might be something that not a lot of people know. I'm sure a lot of people do know, but can my little brother or my folks? He wants to give me $10,000.
Yeah, that can all happen, and you just have to make sure you do it the right way so that it doesn't become a problem down the road, right? That mom and dad can give me $10,000. Don't transfer the money now. Make sure we do that as a gift. You're going to send it directly to the title company about 2 to 3 days before closing. That makes it path of least resistance. Mom and dad don't have to give us all these bank statements and prove where all this money's come from. Underwriter's not going to ask you, where did this $10,000 deposit come? Because, and I say this often to people, I'm coming to you for a $400,000 loan. Don't you want to know where all my money's coming from? Because I've had the pushback constantly, right?
Yeah.
Of like,
oh no, and I know.
why
That's
do
why
you
I
need
brought
this
that
bank
up.
statement?
Yeah.
You know, why do we need these bank statements and whatnot? And I guess I'm putting it that way to make sure people realize the reason why. Because you're getting a couple $100,000 loan, and we want to make sure that you don't default on that loan. So we're looking out for your best interest as well.
Right.
Like we were talking before, it's not to put you through the ringer, and make this difficult.
No.
It's to make sure you don't jam yourself up. Yeah,
it's not you
me.
personally putting. It's
a set of guidelines we've got to go by, and each loan is different, right? Even for a gift, even for your debt to income ratios, heck, even income. It's not all looked at the same depending on the loan program that you're with, right? There's certain programs with, let's say, a self-employed buyer, where I only need 1 year of tax returns, which could be a huge difference because maybe that year the business went crazy. You made a lot of money.
And that brings up a really good notion too, because I know we've had several instances of this too, where we do have the self-employed borrowers, and they come in, especially when it's close to tax season. I know one of the big things I impress upon them, I was like, well, before you do anything, talk to Todd, because, and again, shameless plug, but no, talk to your mortgage guy or gal. Because they're going to be able to help you position yourself tax-wise. Because I know when you're self-employed, like we are, we try to position ourselves to pay the least amount of taxes that we possibly can. That's just the way the code's written, and we utilize that. But that sometimes doesn't translate well to showing income or anything like that. So how does that transpire? Because I know you help a lot of folks with
and I just try to advise them that before you move forward with those taxes, if you send me a house that you like, and that house that you like, here's that payment, and here's what your current debts are that you have on your credit, this is where our income needs to be in order to make this happen. And you try to walk them through that process before they get jammed up. And they're all of a sudden we're doing a different type of loan where maybe their rate's got to be 9 or 10% because you can't go conventional or with a regular FHA loan. So it all comes back to being prepared, whether it's for your credit, whether it's for your income, assets like the $10,000 transfer, all of those questions, all that stuff can be answered and done up front so that whether it's a week from now or 6 months from now, you're prepared and ready to go and you know exactly what the process is going to be.
Which goes back into kind of our original topic, which was the importance of engaging with us sooner. Don't wait until it's the week that you want to start shopping for a home. Be prepared, because especially, again, not just especially for the self-employed or anybody. It's just you should be engaging with us. I would say 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Because,
Easily.
yeah, you can start giving them houses, right? You can start putting them on a list. They can start getting houses.
Oh, I tell them all the time. I'm like, look, I'm not sending you houses to make you buy one or that you have to like. I just want to start showing you so you can you know what to expect. You know what kind of houses are selling for what dollar amounts and that kind of thing, and just kind of give a broad perspective so you can kind of start having a really good idea entering into the market that, okay, I think I can buy this kind of home for this kind of money, and you realize that, okay, I need to, for self-employed, I need to be able to show more income to be able to purchase a little bit higher home or whatever. And again, all of that gets packaged up by talking to you.
Yeah. And where it helps is, all right, so you talk with Adam and you start sending them houses. Comes back to me and I say, send me a house or two that you like, maybe, because you're looking in Baltimore County and you're looking in Harford County. You're looking in this area, Bel Air, and you're looking over here in Hunt Valley.
Right.
Send me a house and that you like. Let me work the numbers up, because at that point, you can figure out how much of a down payment you need. Where is that payment going to be? Because a lot of times, kind of funny, people think that payment on Zillow and Redfin is what their payment's going to be, right?
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
And they've either put 20, 30, 40% down and it's written so small you can't see it.
Yeah.
Or maybe the taxes and insurance aren't accurate, right? Because they're not pulling a tax bill.
Right.
Recently, for whatever reason, it seems like Redfin isn't putting the full Baltimore County taxes on their little listing. So you go to we go to the tax site and get the actual tax bill.
Right.
Which we should do anyway on each deal, just to make sure we have it accurate.
No, 100%.
And then at that point, the only thing that is a guess or an estimate is the insurance for the payment.
Right.
Right. And then, if I give you a payment now, it just happened with somebody. If I give you a payment now and then it's a year later, that payment could fluctuate or be different because if interest rates have changed.
All right, we're back with Todd from Geneva Financial. Having some technical difficulties here. We're having a little bit of fun today.
And that's why it's a dry run. First time, you gotta get all the kinks out, and then we'll be experts here soon enough.
Yes. Hopefully sooner than later. So what did we just chat about? No. So I think it was one of the big things that I think leads some people to have apprehension into engaging with us is they feel like, I'm going to give you my phone number, my email, and you're just going to blow me up with spam. I'm going to get all these solicitations and everything else like that. And we were just talking about how that's, from our standpoint, we're independent businessmen for the most part. And that would be a bad business model. Yeah. Just again, outside looking in, from a consumer looking into that business, that would be a bad business model, and it wouldn't be very sustainable, in my opinion. And but it is a hurdle that we have to overcome, and I know we were just chatting about that. So when somebody does get their credit pulled, explain to us, the viewers, why is it that I start getting all these doggone calls?
Well, somebody's got to make a buck off of it, right? The credit bureaus see that your credit's been pulled, and as I was saying earlier, everything's labeled: mortgage, automobile, credit card, whatever it may be. So no matter where you get your credit pulled, if it's for a car, you're probably going to get a couple car solicitations. We can pre-approve you for this. We can get you for this. Credit card, same thing. You apply for that Discover card. Next thing you know, you're getting emails left and right or stuff left and right like, you are pre-approved for this card, that card. Similar in the mortgage world, credit bureaus sell that all off, your information, to other lenders as what they call a trigger lead or a hot lead, because they can see, all right, the credit was pulled for a mortgage, they must be in the market. And then with there not being a ton of business right now, right, business is down compared to what it was. So some companies that weren't spending money on leads before, because you just had them naturally coming in when interest rates are low, they'll spend the money, right? So then the credit bureaus can say, all right, this person just got their credit pulled in the last 3 days. You got to pay us $50 per lead and we'll give you 10 of them. And then, every time a credit's pulled within that 3-day time period, they're sending it to all these other lenders and you're getting hit with calls. You can go to a website. You can fill out information to stop those calls. But as I was saying before, it's too late by the time you want to get pre-approved because there's a lag on that. And it takes like a month or two for it to all go through the system and then you don't get the calls.
But that brings us kind of full circle into, I mean, it may be a little component of it, but it's still in a component of it. Engage with us early on. Yeah. If you're not thinking about purchasing for 6 months or a year, fine. We're here to work at your pace, not our pace. Mm-hmm. But when you engage with us and you can kind of learn the process and you can get some helpful information about like, okay, you know what, here's what we're going to be doing. Go on this website. Yeah, and we can start educating people.
It can prevent it, right? So if somebody doesn't want me to run their credit now and they say, give me a call back in a couple months, I can suggest, here's this website so that when I do pull your credit, it doesn't go to 50 different lenders and you just get harassed and hounded left and right.
Right.
I hadn't had it happen for a while, but I ran a credit on Tuesday and the guy texted me yesterday. He's like, I've gotten at least 30, 40 calls from mortgage lenders. He's like, these aren't you, right? Like, this isn't your company. I'm like, I'm the only one you're going to talk to on my end, So if it's not my phone, and I've only had the same cell phone number for 25 years. So if it's not my number, it's not me and it's not my team. So it's unfortunate that that's kind of how they have to make money. Obviously, at times it's a good for the credit bureaus to sell it off because they're making money. It just stinks for the consumer to think, I want to inquire about this and now I'm going to get hounded for the next 2 weeks.
And causing them to second guess or not even engage.
Yeah.
Well, not even just second guessing you, but they're just going to be like, well, I don't want to deal with that nonsense.
Yep.
So I'm just not going to engage. And it is unfortunate. So, I mean, for those of you out there listening, we completely understand that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We can totally comprehend that. But when it gets down into some other myths, what on your end, what do you...
Still have the 20% myth. Still have you have to put the 20% down in order to buy a house. People say that all the time.
You mean you don't?
I mean, it's crazy how...
I mean, you can.
You can. I mean, and obviously it's beneficial, right? Your payment's going to be lower. You're not going to have to pay mortgage insurance. You don't necessarily get a better rate, which people don't understand, that whether you put 5, 10, 15, 20% down with a conventional loan, in most cases, it doesn't dictate your rate. It only dictates whether or not you pay mortgage insurance and how much mortgage insurance you pay. And then 20% is that threshold. You don't pay it at all. That's kind of where everybody wants to be. But no, you don't have to be to that point in order to purchase a home. Saving 20%, what were we talking earlier? The average house in this area, in the Baltimore metro area, is like $400,000 at this point in time,
just
right?
a little bit over, yeah.
So 20% of that's $80,000. I don't.
Right.
You don't run into. Our business is a volume game. You're not just doing one purchase or one deal per month, right? A lot of times you need to do several in order to make a good living.
Right.
I don't run into a whole lot of people that just have $100,000 sitting in an account to purchase a house.
Right.
So you're trying to come up with the best way to make it happen that suits their needs, gets them to the payment they want, and doesn't use all of their funds.
Right.
But that's one of the big ones that you continue to get. The other myth is, or other thing that we have to deal with all the time, goes along with credit, the whole Credit Karma thing and all that, yeah. Right? Like,
you mean Credit Karma is not accurate?
You could just use my Credit Karma, right?
Really?
That's how you can import that into your system and just use that for your application, right? Like, no, because that's totally different algorithm, totally different world, has nothing to do with mortgages. The clients that we had on Tuesday that we met with in person to go over their information and get them to move forward, on their first steps. I ran the application through. They didn't think their credit was going to be that good because that's what Credit Karma said.
Oh, sure.
First thing I said to you when I walked in, they qualify easy.
I think you said they were about 40 or 50 points above what Credit Karma said?
50 points higher than what Credit Karma said and what they thought their credit was. So I didn't have a chance to call them before I came in here and we started this. I can't wait to give them a call and get them all excited, right? Yep. And, their plan is to buy in a year. They could buy now.
Right.
there's no pressure.
And
But
one of
I'm-
the things coming out of that, sitting down and meeting with those folks, was that a lot of things. They thought, like you were just covering, that they needed 20% down. They thought their credit was really low, what they thought their credit was in consideration with what low is, it wasn't that low.
No.
But still, you ran it. It was 50 points higher. And when you look at it, there's things that you can have them do, because if they're not looking for 6 months or a year, that's a perfect time to start looking at, okay, well, we can make a couple of tweaks here and there, and we can get your credit even higher. We could probably get it with the way they're positioned, they probably get over 700 quite easily.
Yeah.
Then that positions them better as far as the financing side goes, gives them more options as far as packages that they could use as far as in the financing world.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing that they did was meet with us, even though it was a year out, because I can let them know what their credit is now. We can work on the credit in the meantime, but they have the means to purchase. They have the credit to purchase. They have the income to purchase right now. So there is no guessing game anymore, right? I was saying earlier, I think the worst thing is to just sit back, you're with your significant other on the couch watching a show, and you're just both thinking like, I wonder if we could buy a house. I wonder what it would be, right? You're sitting in your apartment that you're paying $2,400 a rent in, your 2-bedroom apartment. I wonder if we could buy a house. Why continue to wonder? And I think that's the biggest thing is, we're not going to yell at you if you don't qualify now, right?
I think it's a fear of there's some inherent kind of feeling of rejection.
I was going to say, people don't like to hear no, right? We hear, unfortunately, like we were saying, we're interviewing every time, and we hear no, right? Sometimes we hear yes more, but we hear no sometimes, and can't get your feelings hurt. I've lost out on a loan this week, unfortunately. I've been working with the buyer for a little bit of time, but they just were able to find something else that fit their needs better than what I had. Totally fine. I told them, if you have questions during the process or it doesn't turn out, give me a call.
Right.
I'm not upset. It is what it is. I mean, I'm upset that I didn't get the job.
Well, but like we were talking earlier, at the end of the day, we're consumers like everybody else. So we can completely respect people that are making a good financial decision for their own purposes.
Yep.
Because we're making those same decisions for ourselves and our families. So we're not taking anything away from that.
No, not at all. And we just want to be helpful.
Right.
Helpful, not salesy. Helpful. Helpful through the process.
No, for sure. The one of the things that was interesting was he said people don't like to hear no when it comes to that kind of thing. They don't like the disappointment. One of the things, and one of the standout clients that we had, and this goes back a few years, came to us, got a call in, and this client was going kind of on. You could tell she was very, 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 very frustrated. She talked to multiple lenders. I'm thinking more than 4 lenders. She's talked to multiple agents. I can't even fathom how many agents that she's talked to. And they've all just were like, you just can't buy. You can't buy this, that, and the other thing. Can't buy. You got your debt to income's too high for whatever reason. And she's talking to me and going back and forth. And I told her, I was like, look, I don't like no. Yeah. I'm a big proponent for I can't, never got anything done. So I said, if you're willing to give it one more go, and I know I'm asking a lot of you, you've been through the mill already, but talk to my lender, Todd. He's very much like me, doesn't like the no, doesn't like I can't. Let's see what we can do. I was like, and it may come down to where it may be something like it's not right now, but one of the things I brag on you about is your ability to go in and your willingness to go in, because not every lender is. A lot of lenders are out there, they just want to hit the easy button. Oh, this one's an easy loan, and that's the one I'm going to go after. Oh, this one that's difficult, I don't want to deal with that. But that's where I think you're a stand apart, is that you're willing to kind of dig your heels in and look and see what can be done to help them out and position themselves better. And if I remember correctly, it wasn't a whole lot.
Wasn't a whole lot. And sometimes, even me, when I'm trying to present that to them, it seems like it's way out in left field and maybe they can't do it.
Yeah.
But at least they give the option, right? Like, I feel like no, you only give the no if the credit is just so bad or the income just isn't there, right? Or there's just, the scenario is just to a point where there's just no way we can make it happen because, your credit's 500 or, you just you made $30,000. You can't buy a $500,000 house. You made $30,000 last year.
Fair.
Stuff that makes sense. But this was just a couple little tweaks, with the income and with some credit and some other things that within a short time period, we were ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Got them under contract.
I remember
and
it was a very short
even when
period
they
of
got
time.
under contract, they were like, we don't believe this is going to happen until we sign on that day. Remember, they were just like, we're not going to get excited until the day that we're sitting down at the table. And I was like, I get it, right? It's bad karma if you get way too excited anyway. Like just like writing it in the close section of your board, right? Like you don't put anything on that board until it's signed, sealed, and everything is done. So I could get their apprehension and whatnot, but we came up with a plan. That was probably one of the first ones we did.
I think so.
A ways back.
Yeah,
And
it's been a while.
they still talk to us, they still send us and, say hi and here and there. And that's the kind of relationship we try to build, right? Like we've helped you out. Let's stay in touch. You ever need anything in the future? I think the daughter's moving back at some point here in the near future and we're going to help her out. So, we're big proponents, like you said, of not no, but this is how you can do it. It may be in left field. You may not be able to achieve it, but at least here is an option or two that if for some reason you fall into this, you can make it happen.
And the reward is worth the wait.
Yeah. Yep.
And the burden that it costs in some cases. It's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think I've ever had a client say, I wish I didn't buy a house. Especially in this market in the past 5 years.
I know.
I got lots of them be like, man, I shouldn't have waited.
Yeah. A whole lot of I shouldn't have waited.
Yeah.
A whole lot of those. But yeah, I've never had anybody come back and say, I wish I would have never, bought a house. Most times they're staying there for a while, you know?
And that's one of the things too, when I'm getting to know my clients and we're having conversations and everything else like that, I'm like, look, I want to, because I like to play devil's advocate a lot with my clients because I want to make sure that they do like this house. So I'm paying close attention to what their likes, their dislikes are, and everything like that. So if we're going through a house and they're kind of glazing over some of these glaring dislikes because there's this brand new kitchen with these granite countertops, oh my gosh, it looks so great, and it does. But I point out, like, okay, but before you said you didn't want to have a house because of X or Y, and I say, well, this house. Like, well, you know what? I think we can deal with it because we don't have to deal with remodeling a kitchen, that kind of thing. So I'm like, that's totally fine. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm not trying to talk you into it. I just want to make sure that in a year, 2 years, or 3 years, unless it's for an extenuating circumstance like a job change or whatever, I don't want you calling me and saying, I don't like this house anymore, Adam.
Yeah.
Because then I think that for the most part, I failed at this point in the timeline. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have that call like I'm ready to move in like 10 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that we know that we made the right choice for the consumer, and they made the right choice for themselves, and they've had all the opportunities to make those decisions.
Always feels good to get that call back, right?
Yeah.
From somebody that you worked with in the past, and they're hey, Adam, you did a great job for us. We love this house. We're not moving anytime soon, but we have friends or we have family or, we have someone else coming. And that's obviously what we strive for, right? That's the only way you can stay in the business. That's the only way is, doing a good job for the people you're working with at that time, doing the best for them, not saying no, but laying out the game plan. And then you get the calls back, to continue to move forward and get more business. And then we start a podcast like this and try to tell people, you can come to us anytime and we're not going to sell you on something. We're going to help you walk you through the process.
Yep. It's all about educating the consumer.
Yeah.
So that they can make the best decision for themselves. Most of the time, it's sticking with Todd and Adam.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you feel you're better served somewhere else, nobody's going to fault you. We're,
No,
we're consumers at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's like,
for sure. For sure. Yep.
All right. Well, it's been nice starting us this inaugural podcast with you.
Yeah, it was.
More to come.
Yeah,
And
definitely more to come.
yeah.
Looking forward to it. Good time.
Good time.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome. We'll see you, man.
See ya.